right! Yay! History and Games is finally live. Welcome everyone, and thank you for your patience. This is my latest episode of History and Games. Of course, I'm your hostess, Megan Sullivan, and we're playing Apotheon for PlayStation 4, developed by Alien Trap. Now, I have a confession to make. This wasn't what I was going to play tonight. I was going to surprise you guys with Rise, Son of Rome for Xbox One. But this is the second or third time I've had issues with the game, not because the game is broken, but because my Xbox always has some unexpected update it wants to do, and these Xbox updates are somewhat time-consuming. So then I was going to play Apotheon at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time tonight, and then PlayStation Network pulled the same card on me where it was like, hey, you need to update your system. So I was like, fine, I'll delay this for an hour. Can you guys hear me? It feels very quiet in my headphones right now, so I am not sure if there's anything going on. I'm about a minute into this. Oh, there I am. Sorry, hold on. Hilariously, I have this going on in the background. I don't want to hear an advertisement on Twitch. Okay, here we go. So I hope that I'm loud enough. I hope I'm not too loud, but it's very quiet in my headphones right now. So if you guys can't hear me, let me know and I will adjust the sound. American Rifle, again with Apotheon. Well, like I was saying before, this was my original plan, Rise, Son of Rome. And Xbox wanted to do yet another time-consuming update. So, to prove that I was going to play Rise, Son of Rome for you, I armed myself with many books on ancient Rome, and I wanted to share them with you guys, because if you can't watch me play a game about Rome, I hope you will go out and read about Rome. So this huge book called Caesar and Christ, it's the study of civilizations by Will Durant. It's one of many interesting history books, and this one's all about Rome. I have another quote-unquote general book on Rome, more like a tome, am I right? So this is a third edition of History of Rome. Can you guys see this? It's a little hard to see, I know. I'm not in the best place to do these Twitch casts. My room's kind of big, and the ceilings are kind of high, so the sound bounces, and there's a glare right now, and so I apologize for that. But this book is really cool. Look how huge it is. It's all about Rome. So it's supposed to be a basic history of Rome, but as you know, there's no basic history of ancient anything, because these civilizations went on and on and on. They were so rich and so full of history. Here's a bust of Julius Caesar. This is in the Vatican Museum. Check that out. That's pretty cool. What else do I have in ancient Rome that I was going to share with you before I was so rudely interrupted by an Xbox update? Ooh, here's another big book. This is on Marcus Aurelius. This is by Frank McLynn, and I apologize, my Latin is not very well pronounced. This is another book if you're interested in ancient Greece. Look how big this book is. This is amazing. Check that out. I know that this kind of book is really intimidating to people. I gotta tell you, the more granular the detail in history, the more I love it. So this one is all about one of the great figures of antiquity, whose life and words still speak to us today, nearly 2,000 years after his death. His Meditations remains one of the most widely read books from the classical world, and his life represents the fulfillment of Plato's famous dictum that mankind will prosper only when philosophers rule. Isn't that cool? Some of you are saying you've been to Rome, and I gotta tell you, I'm so jealous of you. I've been to Greece, I've been to Athens, I've been to Delphi, I've been to Olympia, etc., etc., but one of my bucket list items is to go to Rome and just bask in the glorious history. So you guys are so lucky. Do share with your fellow Twitchcast viewers all about your experiences going to historical places, including Rome and Italy and anywhere around the Roman Empire. I have a wonderful book on Caesar Augustus, who was the first true Roman emperor, so you would know him as Octavius. He was I believe the nephew or great-nephew of Julius Caesar. He was also his heir, and he fought famously with Mark Antony and Cleopatra. So this is a book on his life as well. So if you were interested in reading all about ancient Rome and the very first true emperor of the Roman Empire, this is a good book. This is by Anthony Everett, and he's a very well-known author to historians. Let's see, what else do I have? I think I had one more book. I know I had a book on Julius Caesar, because you can't talk about Rome and not have the Caesar, right? Am I right? So this is by Philip Freeman, and it's just called Julius Caesar. I think this is a slightly older book, but there you go. Check that out. It's very cool. It's very cool. And it's not quite as dense as some of the other books I was showing you. It's mostly text, but it's got some cool pictures. Look at these pictures. It's amazing. I think that's super cool. So, anyways, where was I going with this rant? Oh, yes. I was going to talk all about Rome, and I had to change my plans because Xbox is still updating my Xbox Live account. But what I did think would be really fun is while I'm playing Apollyon, I promise I'll get to that in a minute, but I thought that it would be cool to talk about Greco-Roman history, because it is a little bit tied together. The ancient Greeks had many different colonies in Sicily and Rome, or not Rome specifically, but Italy, and one of the things that connects them is the Aeneid by the poet Virgil. This is a wonderful translation. I love this author. I actually have his translations on the Iliad and the Odyssey. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, and I apologize if I'm not. It's Robert Fagles. It's either Fagles or Fagles. And they're very competent, beautiful translations of ancient text. And the Aeneid is all about the founding of Rome. So if you know your Roman history, you know that there were twins, Romulus and Remus, and they were suckled by a she-wolf, and Rome was founded after, or was named after Romulus, because the twins got into a fight, and there's slightly different versions of what happened, but basically let's just leave it at Romulus won that fight, and Rome started under him, but he was the descendant of Prince Aeneas of Troy. And so the Romans felt like the ancient Greeks, and that heritage was very important to them, although Aeneas, of course, was a Trojan prince, not a Greek prince specifically, although he did have ties to Aphrodite, because he was the son of Aphrodite. In fact, I have the Iliad right here. Homer's The Iliad. This is written about the 8th century BCE, and it recounts the fall of Troy, which supposedly happened 400 or 500 years even before Homer wrote his famous poem. And it's all about, so the part I'm going to read for you right now is from Book 2, and it talks about the noble son of Anchises led the Dardanians, Aeneas, whom the radiant Aphrodite bore Anchises down the folds of Ida, a goddess bedded with a man. Not Aeneas alone, but flanked Antenor's 2 sons, Acamas and Archelochus, trained for every foray. So we have in the Iliad a Trojan prince who has a connection to the goddess Aphrodite, always a good thing. And later on in the book, he'll do things like he'll try to rally the Trojans, he'll try to rally Hector. But of course, the Trojans lose once the Trojan horse, thought up by Odysseus, gets into the city and Troy is sacked. Well, the Aeneid takes place right after these events, and it's all about Prince Aeneas and how he escapes from Troy and goes on to Italy, and his descendants then found Rome. So just for fun, I wanted to read the first paragraph of the Aeneid because it's beautiful and it's poetic, and again, it ties together Rome and Greece. So it starts, "War's a demand I sing, an exile driven on by fate. He was the first to flee the coast of Troy, destined to reach Lavinian shores and Italian soil. Yet many blows he took on land and sea from the gods above, thanks to cruel Juno's relentless rage. Many losses he bore in battle too, before he found a city. Bring his gods to Latium, source of the Latin race, the Alban lords and the high walls of Rome. Tell me, Muse, how it all began. Why was Juno outraged? What wound could the queen of the gods with all her power? Why did she force a man so famous for his devotion to brave such rounds of hardship, bear such trials? Can such rage inflame the immortals' hearts? And there begins the Aeneid. And if you haven't read the Aeneid, if you didn't read it in high school or college, I strongly suggest you do. It's a wonderful poem, it's a wonderful, wonderful story, and it tells you a lot about Western civilization. Reading these kind of things seems, when you're in college or in high school, it seems very boring, it seems very pointless, but it says a lot about Western civilization and people's beliefs. So I thought that would be really fun to share with you. So we're going to hop into Apotheon, finally. Time your attacks carefully. Mashing buttons will leave you vulnerable. Oh, but mashing buttons is fun. So when last we played Apotheon, for whatever reason, I was just terrible and couldn't get past Apollo's guards. And that was my fault because I'm terrible at multitasking. When I played this game, when I reviewed it for IGN, I didn't have any problems playing against Apollo's guards, but for some reason, a couple of nights ago, I just couldn't do it. So I decided that we were going to regroup, we were going to rearm, and we were going to be a little more strategic this time around. So here we have Nicandrios. If you've missed some of the episodes of History and Games before, you may not know that Nicandrios is a name that means victorious man in ancient Greek. The ancient Greeks had really cool names for themselves. So things like Themistocles, Glory of the Law, stuff like that was just really neat. So Nicandrios actually means victorious man. As you can see, everything looks like an ancient Greek urn called an amphora. You can see the citizens. And the art style is based on archaic Greek pottery. So the archaic period was about the 8th or 7th century BCE and went on till the mid-5th century BCE. And it just had a very interesting style. So as you can see, when Nicandrios moves, it's like he's kind of a pinwheel. Like his joints sort of have pins in them. So he kind of does this, where it's a little stiff, but he kind of moves up and down. That looks very much like archaic pottery. You can see to the left of him, that building has the Greek key, which is supposed, and it's gold, but it actually had a little bit of, I can't remember what it was. It was like steel or something in it, so that the key would never break and it could never be melted down, so that the key was actually eternal. And I still have that in a drawer, and I love that. I love the symbolism of eternity. I love what the Greek key represents. I thought that was really cool. So we're walking around here, and you can see in the background, you can see the, you probably had to learn this in either middle school or you had to learn it in high school, all the different columns that you see in ancient Greece. So you have the Ionic columns, you have Corinthian columns, you have Doric columns. These are Ionic, and you can tell because they're scrolls. I'm probably going to regret this. Yep, that was dumb. Alright, so I can't just jump off any platform.
We'll be back.
Alright. Now, if I were an idiot and I hit this, I would light myself on fire. We're not going to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm basically seeing if there's anything like a chest or a barrel that I can hit that will give me... Yeah, there we go. Got some free health. Excellent. Very, very good. Alright. So we're going to swagger this way.